Live from Edmonton and around the world, this is Alberta's #1 news source, CFRN Eyewitness News, 6 o'clock edition. Now, from Broadcast Center, the Eyewitness News team.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. There are growing fears that there may come a day in Alberta when only the rich can afford to get sick.
We are just beginning to ride a wave of massive cuts to our healthcare system. Janice Johnston discovered that many people are concerned we could drown in a sea of extra costs.
That we should make sure that this is #1.
On Monday, Eyewitness News found Sandy Susie, an accident victim just released from emergency, worried about the direction our healthcare system's taking. What we didn't tell you was Sandy had to pay for this fiberglass cast supplied by the hospital.
If we didn't have the $30, I would have had to have gone with a heavier plastic cast. So everything now, when you're in there, you better be prepared in an emergency to carry your money with you.
And if you don't have the money?
You wouldn't get it. Lou paid it before we got out the door.
We have learned every hospital in Edmonton is now thinking about charging you for lightweight casts. Crutches could also become an out-of-pocket expense. One facility suggests there may even come a day when patients pay extra for premium hospital meals.
It's ridiculous.
Some people worry these apparent luxuries are just the start of a two-tiered health system.
I think the people that have the bucks are going to get the health care, they're going to get all the benefits, and the rest of us are going to end up doing without.
How does that make you feel?
Like I'm a second-class citizen.
Anne and Siegfried Maywald are worried we may someday be treated like American citizens.
You end up selling your home, your car, just to pay the medical fees.
Are you worried that it could come to that here?
I think it will end up that way, because once they start privatization in certain directions.
Thanks to privatization, you can spend $1,000 at a clinic to avoid a 6-month hospital wait for diagnostic imaging. A visit to this private clinic means you can obtain a cataract operation without the normal hospital wait, if you can afford it. And your out-of-pocket expenses may not end there. We spoke with one doctor today who refused to go on camera for fear of losing his position. But he tells us surgeons are thinking of opting out of Alberta healthcare. Now imagine paying up before you go to the hospital to get your gallbladder removed, then waiting for the province to pay you back. Janice Johnston, CFRN Eyewitness News.
Hospital administrators are working their calculators overtime these days, trying to figure out how to pare even more money from their budgets. But it seems hospitals are backing away from radical cuts. Now, last night, CFRN's Bob Makichuk told you about cutbacks at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. Tonight, Bob is back there again live. Your topic tonight, Bob, is emergency wards. Exactly what's happening with them?
Well, Daryl, it's a blustery night here, and there's a plane going overhead, so I hope you can hear me. But the Alex is one of 5 hospitals in Edmonton that have fully functioning emergency wards. Budget cuts here will not change the status of Emerge here, but that's not the same. You can't say the same thing for at least 2 other hospitals in Edmonton. The Caritas Group operates the Grey Nuns in Mill Woods and the Misericordia in the West End. And a couple of months ago, they asked their employees for suggestions on where cuts could be made. The employees came back with some suggestions. One of them is to cut the Grey Nuns' emergency hours so they will not be open from midnight till 6 in the morning. Another suggestion is to close the emergency units of both those hospitals for a month at a time on a rotating basis.
That thought doesn't go over well with some patients at Grey Nuns. 80-year-old Muriel Brown took a fall at home this morning. She needed emergency help.
I mean, an emergency is an emergency. That's something you plan on. You need to have some alternative place to go.
In light of objections like Muriel's, hospital managers are taking a softer line about the possibility of reducing emergency hours.
At this stage right now, although some closure or some change in hours is possible, right now our initial evaluation by our staff tends to indicate that it's not probable.
I'm concerned about on-again, off-again emergency rooms. The general public might not always be aware which emergency room happens to be operational and which one's not.
At the Alex, they have no plans of cutting emergency service, but at least one observer of the health scene is suspicious about the timing of all this talk, considering so far the public has been apathetic about this week's roundtable on future health cuts.
Many of the groups in the healthcare area are going to want to get the message through to the provincial government that as they start to cut back, that there's going to be a lot of pain and anguish and concern on the part of the electorate.
Well, Grey Nuns management will make their decision sometime later next month, but if they do cut back the hours of emergency at Grey Nuns or the Misericordia, that's only going to put more pressure on places like the Alex here. This is already the busiest emergency ward in the entire city, and the brass that run this place don't like the idea of even more caseloads coming here. Daryl?
Bob, in your report that we just watched, the president of the Alex said that he didn't think cutting emergency hours was a particularly good idea. But now that the Alex and the Charles Camsell Hospital have amalgamated, is it possible that Camsell's emergency might be a target for cuts?
Well, so far that's not the case, Daryl, but Dr. Noseworthy admits that it is something that it might have to be discussed sometime in the future. We'll know after the roundtable in Red Deer on Thursday.
All right, thanks, Bob. Bob Makichuk reporting tonight on the latest in the healthcare cash crunch. Live tonight from the Royal Alex. Daphne.
Blustery night out there. 350 students at 2 Edmonton inner-city schools will be getting free lunches this fall. City Council will put $50,000 into a pilot hot lunch project. But approval wasn't easy to come by. Susan Amerongen is standing by live at City Hall. Susan, why was the debate so long today? What were the issues?
Well, Daphne, some council members were concerned about the issue of responsibility. Was this a one-time only contribution, or would the School Food Action Committee be coming back for more next year? As you'll see, some interesting concerns were raised during this morning's debate.
And if they're cold and hungry and being abused, we cannot turn our back for $50,000.
$50,000 may not seem like a lot, considering some of the other cash requests which come across Council's agenda, but this debate wasn't just about money.
It worries me that we are going to get involved in a program that starts very small but will soon mushroom into $1 million project, and we will be doing it partly because the provincial government is abdicating their responsibilities.
I don't think that we should play a game of saying, well, this isn't our responsibility, it's someone else's responsibility, and turn our backs on the real need. The need is there.
The need is here, in the inner city, where many children grow up in poverty. 2 schools are the focus of the pilot project, Macaulay and St. Patrick. But if the funding is available, organizers may expand the program in the future to other schools. For now, though, they're just happy to get council on their side.
What it means is that the children will be able to take advantage of the education that we provide, that their hunger won't get in the way of that. So it's very exciting for us and for the children.
So, Susan, what's the next step now?
Well, Daphne, the next step is to get businesses, both school boards and perhaps the province involved. Hopefully they'll put some cash towards this project. Organizers need more than $170,000 to get it off the ground, and they're still short of some money. But if all goes according to plan, the children can expect hot lunches by October.
Okay, Susan, it's supper time right now. Is council broken yet, or is there something else on the agenda?
Daphne, I just came out of council chambers. They were still meeting, but they were supposed to break for supper. A couple of matters still to be dealt with. One of them was a motion by Alderman Alan Bolstead. He wants to see a lottery program set up to help raise some revenues. And Alderman Gomberg wants to know why junk mail is still being delivered to those houses who are sporting junk mail stickers. They don't want any more junk mail, and he wants to know why it's still being delivered. So we're going to go back inside, and we're going to try and find out what they did with those 2 issues, and we'll get it for you on the 11th hour.
Okay, thank you. Susan Amerongen reporting tonight live from City Hall.
You're watching Alberta's #1 news source,